What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Ben Ballion, back with another episode of the Sports Pod. And today, I'm going to get into the top storylines and headlines from the first week of the NBA. I'll get into all of it on the other side of the intro. Hit it.
DiVincenzo a three. Bang! Bang! Got the wall. He jumps. It's gone. He did it. He did it. Pete Alonso with the most memorable home run of his career.
All right, getting into the episode. Around the Association, week 1. I think I'm going to do this every week on Sunday. Just focus a little bit more national. Not going to talk a lot of Knicks. Focus on 4 or 5 national stories, top headlines of the week, and just talk about that. Take a break for the Knicks a little bit. All right, let's get into it. Story number 1. JJ Redick's effect on the Lakers. I mean, it's been effective immediately. The JJ Redick hire, I know we're only 1 week into the season, but the way the Lakers offense looks, the motion, the screens, the ball movement, that's stuff that translates throughout the whole year. Like, unless something drastic changes and some teammates start hating each other or something like that, these screens, these set plays, they're not going to change. And if the Lakers look this sharp week 1, imagine what they're going to look like a month or two down the road once we get to mid-season and the Lakers could still be hooping at a very high level. And the other thing I think they've done well, and JJ Redick specifically, as he's really given Anthony Davis the superstar 1A role. I mean, yes, LeBron James is still amazing, and he's still done a ton for the Lakers. But Anthony Davis is the one averaging 34 points. LeBron's only averaging like 24. AD is taking over this top dog alpha role. And it's time. LeBron is getting ready to hang it up within the next 2 or 3 years if he makes it that far. So it's got to be a little bit of transitioning for the Lakers. They can't just keep riding LeBron every game. It's not going to work. And they've seen over the past couple years since they won that Mickey Mouse title, they've done nothing. It's got to be a lot more the supporting cast and AD rather than just having Bron be the one guy who's dominant, who every play is designed for. Like Darvin Ham would just let LeBron coach the team. I think, yeah, JJ Redick's a big-time players coach, and he's going to let LeBron and AD and everybody in that locker room have a voice and an opinion on what they think the Lakers should do with the offense. But at the end of the day, JJ Redick is the top guy, and he's gonna tell either AD or LeBron to take a big-time shot when they need one. And the other thing I really like is how Austin Reeves looks. JJ Redick, when he was in his playing days, was a catch and shoot, spot up shooter. That's what Austin Reeves' normal role is going to be. He is not somebody who is going to develop this crazy bag where he's got a crazy handle. His finishing package is unmatched. He's super athletic. No, he's a 3-and-D guy. He's an upgraded 3-and-D guy at the end of the day. That's what Austin Reeves is. And JJ Redick understands that because JJ Redick was one of those guys. So JJ Redick is going to treat Austin Reeves with how he should and run catch and shoot plays for Reeves, but not try to make Austin Reeves score too much. Because at the end of the day, the Lakers do not have this big three that Darvin Ham was making it out to seem like. Like when Darvin Ham was coaching the Lakers, he wanted it to be a big three so bad with LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Austin Reeves. But it just isn't. It's a duo. It's a dynamic duo in LeBron and AD. Austin Reeves should not be in that conversation whatsoever. But Lakers look really good. Obviously, there's a ton of season left to play. They're 3 games in, but they have played some really good talent. I don't count Minnesota because as a top team because that was their first game together. Julius Randle played a total of like 5 minutes in the preseason. So I don't I just don't count them. Then they played the Suns, who, yeah, that D-Book and KD-led team has been through an entire playoff run, 2 entire playoff runs together, and a full regular season. So, yeah, their chemistry should be on point. They should be ready to go out of the gates. And then the Kings, I count them probably 60% because, yeah, they're pretty new with DeMar DeRozan. But that Domantas Sabonis, Malik Monk, De'Aaron Fox core has been together 2-3 years now. So they've beaten 2 legit teams and a third team who will be legit by the end of the year. All right, moving on to topic number 2. The Indiana Pacers starting out 1-2, and more specifically, Tyrese Halliburton not being able to do anything offensively. So yeah, Pacers picked up their first win. Actually, no, they won their first game of the season against the Pistons, and then they've lost their last 2 against the Knicks. A 30 burger. Knicks blew them out by 30. And then they lose in overtime today versus Sixers. And just a quick side note on the Sixers, Tyrese Maxey looks like he's going to take the next step as a leader and the top dog on this Sixers squad. Because Joel Embiid will never play a back-to-back for the rest of his career. That is a fact. And Paul George is banged up, and he is very old. He is 34, 35 years old. He's got probably 2 or 3 years left in the league before he retires. So Tyrese Maxey is going to outlast both of those guys, and he's got to be the one that takes over these next couple of seasons. And he's done that so far. He had 42 points today. He had 30 points earlier in the year. Tyrese Maxey is going to do it well enough for the Sixers. But getting back to the Pacers, starting 1-2, this will change through the season, but Tyrese Halliburton has just not had it at all to start the season. I mean, he had 0 points in Madison Square Garden after talking that talk. He couldn't walk the walk the next season. He wore that Reggie Miller sweatshirt out of Madison Square Garden. Then he comes back to the Garden. The Knicks just do what the Knicks do. I mean, he didn't do anything in their opener. I think he had like 14 points. And the thing is with the Pacers, they didn't improve at all this offseason. They didn't bring anybody in that's going to elevate their play, their caliber of team, or they didn't bring anybody in, period, stop. So if they didn't have enough last year. The Knicks would have beaten them in 5 or 6 games if they had a fully healthy roster. So I think the Eastern Conference semis is really their ceiling this year. And at the end of the day, their whole team it's really just a bunch of athletes between like 25 and 30 years old that can shoot sometimes, but when they do, they pour on 130 points. Like Benedict Mathurin, Aaron Nesmith, Obi Toppin, Isaiah Jackson. That's their whole team. That's like Halliburton's athletic. He can't really jump though, but they've got a bunch of shooters, and when they're on, they'll pour it on. They just haven't been on this year. I mean, they shot a whole 11.1% from 3 against the Knicks on Friday night. So, and that's not going to happen again this year. The Pacers will not shoot 11% from 3. If the Knicks were playing a 7-game series with the Pacers and that happened, you would be so lucky, because the Pacers they're a good team shooting the basketball. Overall, they are a net positive shooting the basketball from 3-point range. They just didn't have it one night, and like I said against the Celtics game, not to get this too into a Knicks conversation, but this is more about the Pacers. That game was a statistical anomaly. Like, the Pacers won't do that again, much like the Celtics won't shoot an NBA record from 3-point range again. The Pacers will not shoot 11% from 3. However, they don't have enough to go to the NBA Finals, and I don't think they're at that stage in whatever you want to call it, their rebuild, their transformation, where they're an NBA Finals team yet. Like, the East is so talented with the Knicks, the Bucks, the Celtics, the Sixers, kind of. But those 3 teams in particular, the Pacers aren't getting past without a major injury. All right, moving on. Third out of 4 stories. Jason Tatum looks like he's taking his game to the next level. And yes, we all know Tatum's a good player and he's going to shoot well from three-point land, and he's going to be the best player on the Celtics, but it's really going to be a toss up between him and Jaylen Brown. I think Jason Tatum is really trying to take that leap, that jump to yeah, he's already a superstar, but the actual MVP conversation. I mean, he's averaging 33 points on 57 or 54% from the field. And yes, I know it's only 3 games, and they've played the Wizards and Pistons in 2 of them, but 54% from the field is unheard of. And it's not like he's just doing it on offense. He's doing it on the defensive end also. He's second highest on the team in rebounds. He's the third highest in steals, fourth highest in blocks. He is starting the season out really strong. It's going to be a matter of, can he sustain this throughout the course of an 82-game season? Because if he can't, that's where the critics come back. But right now, there's no way that people should be disrespecting Jason Tatum, because he is playing on another level out of the gates of this year. And the Celtics overall also are, yes, I already mentioned it, but 2 of the teams they played are the 2 worst teams in the East. And the Knicks, they just shot the lights out. It didn't matter what was going to happen, what kind of defense was in that game. They were not missing a lot of shots. But it seems like Jaylen Brown, who's averaging 24 points, and Derek White, who's averaging 20 points, are 3 guys averaging 20 points or more. That's a lot for an NBA team. I mean, most of the time teams have one high 20-point per game scorer, and then usually like 18 or 19, maybe 20. But no, Celtics have 30, 24, well, someone in the 30s and then 2 people in the 20s, which is really big. They're going to be good. They're going to be the team to beat in the East. They have depth. All their big men can shoot, which is really big considering today's NBA. I mean, floor spacing, it's kind of the end all be all at this point. I mean, the league is based on 3-point shooting. If you're not shooting threes and you don't have a big man that can score from the outside, at least in the mid-range game, you're not going to succeed. And that's where I feel the Celtics are best. Because, yeah, Porzingis can shoot in the starting lineup. Al Horford can shoot. Xavier Tillman can shoot. Luke Kornet can shoot. That is 4 front court borderline 5s that are proficient in shooting the 3. And they shoot the 3 at an exceptional level. So it's not only Jason Tatum taking his game to the next level, but it's also the surrounding talent around him. And the last thing I want to bring up with this is, if Jason Tatum gets over the hump with that one championship like he did last year, is he going to get comfortable winning championships and just bang out like 2 or 3 in the next 5 years? Because if that happens, then the NBA is better be. They're going to be the next dynasty, because they've been there 2 of the last 3 years now, and they've won 1. And it seems like the title defense has started out strong. Jason Tatum is hooping at a career level right now through the first week of the season, and we'll see what happens. I think the Celtics are going to be a team in the beat, undoubtedly, in the Eastern Conference. All right, fourth and final story of Around the Association Week 1, the way Julius Randle has fit in with his new team in Minnesota. So the concern I had for the Timberwolves after making the trade for Randle and DiVincenzo is, how well are Julius and Ant-Man gonna coexist? Because previously, when Ant had another top scorer like Karl Anthony Towns, they weren't able to get over the hump in the 2-year period that they had where they were both at the top of the league. Where I think they were still developing as a franchise. Ant wasn't at the level he is today. But the ball dominance was a bit of an issue, I think, in Minnesota. So now you bring Julius there, who's someone who the possession ends with him when you pass in the ball. You're not getting the ball back if you give Randle the ball anywhere near the paint or really 2 steps inside of the 3-point line, let's be honest here. But so far, it seems as if they've been able to work well together. I mean, in just their second regular season game playing together, Julius had 33 points, Ant had 32, and they had a big win in Sacramento where that's going to be a legit team fighting for a playoff spot. Like, they're going to be hovering around the play-in and the 6th seed. The DeMar DeRozan addition makes me feel as if the Kings really are going for it with this De'Aaron Fox group, because De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis are still have 6-7 more years in the NBA where they're not 7 years, but like 5 or 6 more years where they are real contributors in the NBA. And DeMar DeRozan is on his last legs. He's got maybe a year or two where he's going to be at the top of his game, and then after that, he's going to be done. So I think the thought process with the Kings and bringing in DeMar DeRozan was come to Sacktown, give it everything you got, and then you could retire maybe with an NBA Finals appearance or an NBA Finals championship. But Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards went in there and they just dominated. It was a big win for them, and I think it's going to continue to happen. And Julius are going to be one of the among the top scoring duos in the NBA this year. I think that's a given at this point. But at the end of the day, it is going to take time for their chemistry to get on par with each other, and also with Gobert, who, if they utilize Rudy Gobert right in the paint, he could be a solid contributor on offense, averaging probably like 12 to 14 points a game just with free throws and dunks, putbacks, layups, just getting him into the paint, into an open paint. If you can draw switches, pick and rolls with Ant and Gobert can be something that is a lethal play in the NBA. Because Ant, he's about 6'3" or 6'4", but Gobert is 7 foot, and he's gonna have fives. There's centers on him. So if Ant can draw the switch and have a center guarding him and then dump it off to Gobert in the paint, Gobert backs his man down, throws it down, that would be the ideal situation. But then you also have the safety net of Julius Randle for catch and shoot if that doesn't work out. And also the Julius Randle, Anthony Edwards pick and roll or pick and pop could be a dangerous play, because Randle can shoot it at a solid level, not exceptional or anything, but he does get the job done from 3-point rounds, like 38 to 40%. So that could be something to watch out for in Minnesota. I think they're going to be a top at the top of the West for the majority of the season. I think they come out of the West come playoff time, and it'll be a Knicks Timberwolves NBA Finals. As I said on my preview show, go back and watch that video after you finish watching this one. But it's going to take time for the Timberwolves to get to that point. Overall, though, I think Julius Randle is off to a hot start in Minnesota, fitting well out of the gates. And in my opinion, it'll continue for the rest of the year. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like down below. Drop a comment and subscribe. Make sure you turn on your post notifications and go check out all my social media links linked in the description below. But for now, I'm your host, Ben Valian, and keep it locked with the Sports Pod.